Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the Discriminating Gamer. Last night I decided that I was going to have alligator for dinner, but at the last minute I realized I only had a crock pot. Today, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to take a preview look at the holiest crap. The Holiest Crap from Erik Robinson is a 3 to 5 player card game in which players attempt to use their virtues, vices, and various sundry elements in order to help them gain the most victory points and win victory. Now each player is going to get a soul card. They're going to place that soul card in front of them. That's their soul, and you don't want it to get crapped on. Next, you're going to go ahead and take your brown cards and go ahead, shuffle them, place them in the center of the game area, as well as the shuffled virtue cards. You're going to place them in the center of the area as well. Now, at the beginning of the game, each player gets 8 brown cards, and they're going to go ahead and be able to get 3 more at the beginning of each turn. You draw 3 cards at the beginning of each turn. Now, you can play as many cards as you want on your turn, and what you're trying to do is actually create a wall to protect your soul. So you can create up to 4 stacks in front of your soul in order to protect it. Now, here's how you do that. If you have vice cards, you can lay the vice cards down in front of your soul, and you can only, of course, put similar vices on similar vices. There's different kind of vices. You can only place certain vices on their similar vices. What you can do after that is you can look and see how many virtue cards it takes to complete that vice. And you can play a good deed card from your hand, you put it in the discard pile, in order to gain a vice, or a virtue rather. And you can place that virtue on top of any of your stacks, and you're hoping to put as many virtues on your stacks that the vices require in order to complete them. But also, too, the virtues kind of protect your vices. If somebody attacks one of your vice stacks, no matter how many vices you've got there, you lose them all. But they can only take out a virtue one at a time. So you go ahead and you put your virtues on top of your vices. Now, once you have all of the virtues on top of that stack that is required, so it's completed, you can go ahead then and flush the stack. Now, how you do this is you have to play a little wipey card, or you can play 2 good deed cards. If you do that, you can take all of the cards from that stack and place them in your flush pile behind your soul card. Now, essentially what you're doing there is you're banking victory points for the end of the game. Now, as I say, players will also have the opportunity to attack other players. There are simple attack cards, and if you get 2 attack cards, you can use that to attack another player's stack. If it's vices, you can take all the vices, or you can take 1 virtue at a time. But once you gain that card you've attacked, you can either place that on your wall, or you can place it in your flush pile. Now, there are other cards that allow you to steal cards from other players, maybe randomly draw 3 and keep 1, give 2 back, and do all sorts of other funky and cool things as you're playing the game. Now, critically, if at any time one player has no cards out in front of them, there's no cards on their wall, another player can attack that player and they can try to take their soul. Now, if you keep a soul, it's only worth 7 points to you, but at the end of the game, if somebody else has it, it's worth 15 points. So players can try to take your soul. Now, how they take your soul is each card that you have, that you get in this game, has a letter at the bottom. A C, an R, an A, or a P. And what you're going to do is, if you can spell out those letters crap, you can lay those cards down, you play those cards, and you can take the other player's soul card. Essentially, you're crapping on their soul. You gain that, it goes to your flush pile. Now, there's also a deflect card. Sometimes if players attack you, you can play a deflect card and make them attack another player. There's also cards that have kind of an anti-deflect ability so that they can't be blocked like that. But players are going around and around. They are laying out the vice cards and the virtue cards in front of them on their wall. They are attacking other players. They are deflecting. They are trying to steal the soul by playing the crap cards. And they're doing this constantly until a couple of things happen that trigger the end game. Now, as you're playing the game, you're discarding cards, and once you have gotten to the point where there's no more cards to draw, you shuffle the discard pile and put them back in there. But by that point, virtually all of the vice cards will be gone. So you're playing through that, essentially trying to get to the through the stack again. Because when you get through the stack twice, that triggers the end game. Or if there's only one person left, then that triggers the end game. Only one person with a soul card left, that triggers the end game. Now, players at that point are going to go ahead, they're going to add up all of their points in their flush pile, and whoever has the most points wins the holiest crap. Now, that's basically how you play. There's a few other bells and whistles. There are the Crappens cards. You collect 3 of them. You got to do some fun and interesting things to screw over your friends. There is a Devil's Advocate card. If you're knocked out early, you got your stolen early, and you can gain inherent vices. There's all sorts of other little bells and whistles that are going on in this game. So this is a light, fast-paced card game with a lot of player interaction as you're trying to attack each other, bank those cards, and then, of course, trying to steal each other's souls. So there's a lot going on here. So this is a light, silly, irreverent game that you and your friends will enjoy as you are going back and forth, stealing from each other, deflecting attacks, and making those decisions. Do I want to keep these cards in front of my wall to protect me, or do I want to bank them for the victory points? All the while hoping that your soul doesn't get crapped on. This game will be opening up on Kickstarter here in early September. I'll go ahead, I'll post a link in this video once that campaign is live. If this looks like something you might be interested in, then go ahead and click on that link and check out the Kickstarter page for The Holiest Crap. Well, ladies and gentlemen, thank you once again for joining us today on The Discriminating Gamer. As always, we ask you to please leave a comment for us on YouTube, on Board Game Geek, on our Facebook page, or on thediscriminatinggamer.com. We'd ask you to please like us on Facebook, subscribe to us on YouTube, and follow us on Twitter. I'd also ask you, ladies and gentlemen, to please check out my other channel. That is Cody Carlson, PhD, where we talk about military history, books on history, fun things like that. And I'd also ask you to subscribe to that channel. That would mean a lot to me. Please leave a thumb for us on Board Game Geek. That also helps us out a lot. And if you're a fan of the channel, we'd ask you to go ahead and click on the Super Thanks button here on the YouTube page and leave us a tip. That would help us out a lot as well. You know, ladies and gentlemen, an education is important, but board games are importanter. Please somebody help me on my feet again, and I don't know where I'm going, and I don't know where I've been. Please somebody help me on the solid ground. It's a long time, and I'll be dying. Once a year I wind up in the band. I love pizza.